What's going on, you guys?
Well, welcome, Uncle Jesse, to the trailer home and to Country 3D. The Kuntry Klub is moving in slowly but surely.
Very nice.
Uh-oh, somebody's got said they have no sound, but I think that's their on their end, not mine.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, and I know Matt said, I want to see the Jesse interview, but I also want to see community catch up as well.
Well, I think they're staggered, right?
Well, that we're staggered by 30 minutes. They start at
there we go.
They start at 10 o'clock, so you can watch at least 30 minutes of us, and then watch all of us, and then go catch the last end because community catch up goes forever.
I know, that's right. It'll go all night.
Oh, right. They do sometimes. Anyway, right. So look, I'm going to confess something here to you, Jesse.
All right.
I had no idea who you were before I met you at Earth.
No worries at all.
I had never even heard of Uncle Jesse, believe it or not.
There is a large number of people that have not.
A large number of people that have. I do my homework a lot of times for these interviews. A lot of people think that they come on here and it's just gonna be a hanging chat, but I really use these so that the people in the community can get to know people.
Very cool.
And you're one of those people that people really want to know. Is that Blue Moon?
That is Blue Moon Mango. Mango. This is my new favorite adult beverage for the summertime.
Well, I will tell you that mine has remained Yingling.
Oh, very nice. That's a good choice.
Forever. I was stationed in Germany in the Army, and Bud Light just doesn't do it. Bud Light just doesn't do it for me. So, all right. So you've been doing YouTube for about 12 years.
A long time. Actually, yeah, man. Actually, I think that was. Yeah, not seriously, but yes, I think honestly, yeah, it was about 12 years ago. It was the first time I uploaded a video. I don't even remember what that video was, to be honest.
I went out to your channel and I went back and I think it was your third video. I mean, because those first few videos, you got 100 views and 50 views and that type of stuff. But I think it was your third video had something like 1,700 views.
Yeah, not bad.
That's freaking awesome. So, what made you start doing YouTube 12 years ago? What was your onus for saying, okay, I'm going to put some of this stuff online?
I mean, what was funny was, man, I'm trying to think. So I had I've got this is Uncle Jessy YouTube channel that I have now, but I actually still have another one. The one that you're referring to is my original channel, which I think is Clayton Parker. Yeah, Props or something. I think. Yeah, maybe. I have no idea. Well, anyways, I think the first two videos, without me going on there, let me try and remember. I think one is it a wedding dress video?
Hold on, I'm pulling it up.
Go on there. Yeah, so it was basically just me trying to, one was archive some stuff. And then the other was just trying to figure out a way to share video at the time. So 12 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of ways to share videos that you had. And I had a great idea. I feel like one of those is a wedding dress video. Like we were trying to sell my wife's wedding dress. And
I'm getting there. My internet's slow. So.
And like the sale posting, I was like, oh, we'll get a lot more views and interest if we have a video. So I think I did like a minute video.
Your third video that had 1,700 views was the wedding dress video.
Yes.
That was actually 9 years ago. You had one from 12 years, and then there's a 3-year gap.
That sounds about right.
It was a Get eSmart commercial.
Oh, was that my first one?
That was your first video.
So that was all right. That's what it was. So my video from 12 years ago, the Get eSmart, that was a commercial I made in college. So funny enough, I did advertising, went to school for advertising in graphic design and advertising, was that back in Boston University. And that was a really, really cheesy video commercial, a PSA, I think it was, for an anti-ecstasy commercial. And no joke, I think I'm like 100 pounds lighter than I am right now in that video.
Yeah. Not only that, you know, less facial hair.
Oh yeah,
less everything.
I was much younger. I think I was 21 in that video, 21, 22 in that video. Yeah. So just what was funny is I think 12 years ago, that video, I had that on VHS tape, was it? I'm trying to remember how that occurred. And I was trying to share that with someone, and I ended up getting that digitally made or saved, and I uploaded it to YouTube. And then the other was a commercial that used to play throughout Boston. I was in a commercial for an online dating service when I was in college.
I see that. That was 9 years ago.
Yeah, so posted that as well. Ended up getting like a tape. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, everything was on tapes and DVDs.
Yeah.
So ended up uploading that there just to have a place to save it and share it. It was mostly just sharing it with friends, my close friends from college, just to get laughs out of that.
Yeah, it looks like you know, the right tone together dating commercial. That was it. Yeah, and that used to play when I was in school, and even after school. I lived in Boston for a little while, and I worked in nightclubs. And my people that I used to work with, that commercial would play for like 2 or 3 years, and it would play really late at night. And so I would get like the next day going into work, they'd be like, I just saw you on a commercial, like a really cheesy commercial. It's like, yep, that's about right. Print 3D Channel was fixing to bring up the one I did. And then 7 years ago, the damn Canadian geese. It was 7 seconds.
Those damn Canadian geese are still those damn Canadian geese to this day. I keep joking that I'm going to run out there and chase them in like a full Thor costume one of these days, just as a gag. But they're here daily.
Before I move on into, because the next video is a year later, 6 years later. That was your first Epicura project, the Magneto helmet part 1.
Yep, and I thought I had it in here, but it's not in this room. I thought I had it with me. But that's
okay. What I wanted to know, because I have never, and I'm assuming that this is why I haven't heard of you. I have never been into cosplay at all. Now, I will say that I really hadn't even heard of cosplay until a couple years ago.
We travel in different circles, my friend.
Well, think about this. To think back on it, that's all the reenactments are here. They do the Civil War reenactments here.
Oh yeah, that's all it is,
and that's all that is. So I've known about it my whole life. Never heard of cosplay until a couple years ago.
Yeah. No, that's
because that was something that interested me when I was younger, was being in the reenactments for the Civil War stuff. But
it's the same concept, just a different genre. That's all.
Right. Well, okay. So when did you get into cosplay? When was your first, hey, I want to do this?
Actually, it was probably it might have been about 2 or 3 years prior to making that video, the Epicura video. I originally tried making a Magneto helmet out of clay and wire mesh, and it was an absolute horrible disaster. And I was like, there's got to be a way to do this. And I just didn't know how to do it. And then I remember thinking a few years later, I really want a Magneto helmet. I want to make a Magneto helmet because you can't buy what I wanted to make. Right. And then I ended up finding the Replica Prop Forum, the RPF, and saw how people were using something called Epicura to make cosplay items and superhero stuff, replicas from movies. And at the time, I think it was like the first Iron Man movie had just came out, or maybe had been out for a year, maybe. And I really wanted to make like an Iron Man helmet or hand, and Epicura was the way to go. And at the time, there wasn't a lot of tutorials out there on how to do this. There was written tutorials, but not, like on the RPF, people had documented in a written format how to do this, but there was nothing video documenting how to do this. It was still, there might have been only a few people doing it. So I figured, hey, I'm going to start this. I might as well start documenting my journey through this and sharing with folks, you know, how I'm doing this. And that's where that sort of started.
Right. Now, okay, so you did that for a few years, because that was 6 years ago. And then 3 years ago, it looks like you swapped over from the Clayton Parker account over to the Uncle Jessy account.
Yeah. So I had this, I had this grand epiphany. I had an epiphany. I was like, hey, this Pepakura channel that I'm doing is all about cosplay and superhero stuff, but I want to do video games. And I knew at the time, like, I wanted to do video game related videos. And I knew at the time that YouTube favored channels that really focused in and zeroed in on one type of content. So I said, oh, I'm going to start another channel. And it was at the time that the Xbox One came out. And the Xbox One, this is my other grand idea. I was like, oh, I really want to focus in on Xbox fitness. My Uncle Jessy channel used to be called Xbox Fitness Test, I think, or something like that. And it was, if you look at my channel, it's all Xbox.
Still that.
Yeah, it's oh, there you go. Yeah, the URL.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So the original videos that I used to make on this channel was all about Xbox fitness and reviewing the videos and documenting, again, like my workout progress using an Xbox at the time and an Xbox Connect, which I absolutely loved, by the way. And they abandoned that maybe a year or two ago. And it still makes me really sad that I can't use my Xbox to work out and use a Connect. It's a sad, sad thing.
Well, you know, but the thing about it is, though, I mean, I don't think that your Xbox fitness reviews were taken off real big.
No, but you know what's funny is it led me to doing other things. For whatever reason, I ended up focusing more on that channel than my other channel, like my cosplay channel. And then at some point I started doing, like, I think I got my first MakerBot Mini and started doing videos around that, and was still doing Xbox videos. And I still like to do Xbox stuff. But it just sort of gave me the idea that I don't have to be stuck doing one type of video. I can do whatever I want. It's my channel. I'm going to put whatever content I want out there. And if you guys look at my channel, you'll see there's a lot of random stuff if you scroll throughout it.
Yeah, no, I'm actually still on the page, believe me.
Yeah.
Because there was things I wanted to move through here.
Nice.
Could you know, your first, I would say, successful Xbox video was the Battlefield 4.
Yeah,
will not boot. That was like your first successful, and then you go to how to connect a Xbox One controller.
Right.
That's got 319,000 views, man.
And you know what's really funny is I recorded that, and the way that I did it the most ass backwards way, connecting the controller, and now it's completely different. But I get so many comments to this day of, this doesn't work. You don't know what you're talking about.
You're like, dude, it was 4 years ago.
I know. It's like, it's so old. I'm sorry. It's changed since then. I didn't know there's a button, a sync button now.
Pooch jumped in and said, look at that handsome dude. But, you know, and the thing is, though, that's what's so cool about watching, you know, other YouTubers and the way they progress, because mine's starting off really crappy, and it's you know, slowly but surely moving along.
It's a grind, man.
It is. It definitely is. You know, this is only a few select people get chosen to go bam, and they're like YouTube famous, you know.
Right.
But most people have been hanging around YouTube for a long time.
Right.
To get the followings that they have, you know. A lot of people think they're going to jump on here and it's, you know, I'll shoot a video and it'll take a couple hours a week and blah, blah, blah. No, that's not the way this works.
It's crazy. It is really a grind. It's like I struggle to explain it to people. It's like you really have to have a passion for what you're recording and just share it and then kind of hope for the best. I mean, you got to go into this not intending to become the next, you know, YouTube celebrity, because more than likely it's not going to happen.
Correct. That is absolutely correct.
So it's really just about sharing what you're passionate about and enjoying. I mean, I enjoy making the videos. I mean, and that's why you see so many random different things on my channel. Is if I'm passionate about something, I want to share that with people. That's just kind of how I am. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I try not to pay too much attention to the views that I get. But I mean, in all, you know, you got to try and focus on what works to a degree.
Well, you know, you moved on through the Xbox stuff, and you did all this. And it's I like that. I like that.
See if my Sea of Thieves Xbox. There we go.
I don't know if you can see me or not. You see this?
Yeah. Yeah, this just in. You're an idiot.
Yeah. Nope. That I wore this to work today, believe it or not. Walked around the office with this on all day.
Oh, nice.
Now, okay, so I'm gonna stop right there before we get into the 3D printing stuff, because you know we got a little bit of time here. What do you do for a living? Because I know you have an artistic background, and your videos are shot and put together very well, by the way. Thank you very much. Now they are. Some of the older ones, not so much, but the new ones are much better.
But that's just the thing. I mean, I try to really emphasize this, especially people starting in YouTube, like starting to want to make YouTube videos. Don't go out and buy $1,000 camera and all this gear. Start out slow. I used my cell phone and then upgraded, I think, to a GoPro. And then was duct taping my phone. I didn't have a tripod. I didn't have lights. I was duct taping my phone to the wall so I could talk to it. Or I was holding it. It was all janky and didn't look good when I was recording things. And then slowly started building up my arsenal of stuff that I record with. From go for it.
Speaking of GoPros, that's what I'm on, a Hero 3 Plus.
There you go. Funny enough, I was my GoPro that I used to use, I jumped into a pool without the case on, like an idiot. I forgot to put the case on. Yeah, and ruined my GoPro.
Too many blue moons.
Yeah, and then my wife, I keep joking that I'm going to buy another one, and my wife's like, "You are not getting another GoPro, so just so you can ruin it again." I was like, "It's such a good little camera."
Well, it looks like about 3 years ago, you said there's a video that says "New intro for my channel, Uncle Jessy." And it's only 6 seconds long, so I mean it's not a very long intro at that. But then the very next video is MakerBot Replica Mini Raft Improvements. It looks like that's the first 3D printing video on your channel.
I believe that is correct. Yeah.
Okay, so you got a MakerBot Mini, Replicator Mini.
Yep.
What made you get that? What was your light bulb moment that said, you know what, I can do this with 3D printing and it'd be cool?
It was all at the time I was still doing all the Papakura stuff, and I knew about 3D printers, and what intimidated me was buying a kit that I had to assemble and learn. That still intimidates me to this day, assembling printers. But that was an all-in-one machine, and at the time it was like, oh man, this is the coolest thing. They've made a 3D printer that's easy for everybody to use. You literally just plug it in and you can start downloading files. It works wirelessly. It's got a camera built into it. There was actually a lot of cool stuff on that printer from 3 years ago that I wish a lot of printers had today.
Right.
And that was one of the main reasons why I got it, was just because it was so easy to use. The price, on the other hand, was stupidly expensive. I think it was $1,300.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the print bed is 4 by 4 by 6, I think you can, inches. So really small print volume, and it doesn't print all that great, and it's super loud. But at the time, I loved it. And I loved being able to just print cool little props and weapons and then start assembling them. And I think I was doing Dr. Doom masks in, it must have been like 12 pieces, and then gluing them together and trying to, using what I had. I mean, I was just so excited about it. I didn't care that it was a MakerBot and then it was getting crapped all over online, that you know, they were ripping off people with their smart extruder and that it kept clogging really easy. Funny enough, I didn't really have that big of an issue with mine, and I think it still works today. It's just super loud, and the quality is not all that great in terms of the prints.
Right.
But
well, yeah, hey, let's take a second. I don't know if you looked in the chat, but Joe Mike Carinell is here. We have to raise that glass to him and say congratulations.
Congratulations, dude.
Joe Mike.
I hope you guys are getting some rest.
Right. And wife says he's holding the baby with one hand and typing with the other.
There we go.
Welcome to the world, Savannah.
That is a huge congratulations. That's a fun time right there.
Big one. I've got 4 daughters myself. I know exactly what he's going through right now.
2 little boys. 2 little boys. I am done. Done as of right now. We'll see.
We'll do questions in a minute. Just a minute, Matt. I want to get back to a question I asked a little bit ago. With your artistic back, what do you do for a living? What is outside of YouTube that we don't see, Uncle Jessy?
Yeah. I mean, I post a lot online on social medias and stuff, and here on YouTube, and I don't really talk about it too much. I do try to keep things slightly separated between my work life and YouTube life, even though they've converged numerous times. I work in the fashion industry, the fashion tech industry. So I work for a fashion technology provider. Basically overseeing a software application that folks like Abercrombie or The Gap or wherever you buy your clothes would use to help actually design and make the clothing that you're wearing today. So it's nowhere near the design, you know, advertising end that I went to school for. Sort of fell into this and grew with it for the last, I think, 12 years now. I've been in this industry, so it's been a wild ride. I know way more about making clothing than I ever cared to know about.
I worked in a toilet paper plant. I know how that process goes too, from start to finish.
Funny stories. I ended up working on a project for a really large like sock and underwear maker here in the States, and I was like, oh, this can't be too hard. They make socks, tighty whities, boxers, and t-shirts. This is going to be super straightforward. No. Super complex. God, you're kidding me. It's just like a t-shirt.
Well, you know, and you've been 3D printing for 3 years, give or take, on your own.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so, but before that, you'd seen 3D printers and stuff of that nature, and I see a raised 3D over there. So you've got a few more 3D printers than your MakerBot, your mini select or whatever.
Yeah. I've gotten I have a few more than I care to say I do. Yeah, I went with this is where the work life converges. So we ended up doing a big event for one of my conferences for work with a client of ours that was doing 3D printing for prototyping for belt buckles, buttons, zippers, odd and end things like that. And they were using 3D printers. And so we were talking about it, and then we needed a 3D printer for the setup. So we ended up using, remember, actually, I think it was a MakerBot, but I think it was one of the larger MakerBots. And that's when I was like, oh, I'm for sure getting a 3D printer now. And that's when I picked that up, and then ended up through work again. We worked with and have been with a lovely lady, Denise Peleg, who has created a 3D printed fashion line. And I actually just spoke with her on one of her webinars on how to do 3D printing for fashion recently, and it was awesome. But anyways, she uses a BQ Wit box, and I was like, oh man, that's so much bigger than my MakerBot Mini, and it works really good for you. And it's the same kind of concept where it's an all-in-one. You just take it out of the box, plug it in, and it's pretty much good to go.
Right.
So I ended up getting that, and then stuck with the BQ guys and picked up the BQ Hephaestus 2, which, was my first actual 3D printer kit that I put together. And that was, like a whole weekend that I never want to go through again.
You know, that's kind of weird because I watch videos of you doing props and you're painting and you're putting these things together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it looks like you work really good with your hands, but are you mechanically inclined and stuff like that?
I think it's not the assembly of the printers that it's the, and I mean like the, you know, putting in the screws and putting that together. Part of it is the time consuming nature of it. For whatever reason, making a prop, it takes forever and a day, like this M'Baku mask. I probably spent 2 to 4 hours just sitting there, like washing this thing basically with different colored paints.
Right.
And
I watched that video, by the way. Yeah. I'm still waiting on that next day video that was supposed to come along too. So you're not.
By the way, that next day video I recorded, I think 4 times now, and I have never been satisfied with what I recorded. So I keep re-recording. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, oh yeah, I know. And by the way, there's probably going to be another video coming out before that one comes out. So it'll eventually come out.
but go ahead. It's time consuming, but it's a different time than you'd like.
It's a different time consuming, and I think the electronics of it, for whatever reason, is always an intimidation factor for me. I mean, I've done a few kits now, so I know going into it, it's not too bad. But it was the idea of, man, there's like 1,000 pieces to this. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't want to, you know, getting my first kit, I was like, am I going to have to solder stuff? I've only soldered things twice maybe, and I did a horrible job of it, in which you didn't have to. But there's just an intimidation factor that came with it for me, and I got over it, I think, to a degree, but it's the time consumingness of it that I'm just like, man, I don't want to do a kit ever again, even though I know a lot of people swear by, when you put a kit together, you know your printer inside and out, which is a big bonus for a lot of folks.
And that's an absolute fact. I mean, you know, when you get done, when somebody says, you know, that little part, you're like, yes, I do. I'm very aware of that little part. Yes, I'm very aware of that. But you know, the props that you do, and like the gauntlet that you just had up, the Infinity Gauntlet. Okay? That's got electronics in it. Yeah. I mean, what was that, a kit, or did you follow something?
Oh no, that like the Infinity Gauntlet I bought and put together. But there is other stuff that I've like wired with LED, like basic LED wiring I'm okay with. I don't know. There's just something about putting together a bunch of electronics that it isn't for whatever reason, it isn't intimidating. I'd much rather have an experience, and it's me personally, and maybe it's me being lazy, but it really is maybe more of a time factor than anything. I don't want to spend a day or more putting together a printer. I would gladly rather spend more money and not have to do all of that, and then just get it using it as quick as possible.
Well, let me ask you Matt's question before it gets off here. Are you going to New York Maker Faire?
I am planning on going to New York Maker Faire. I will be there one way or the other.
So you may not have a table or whatever. You're just gonna go hang out.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not having a table. I'm just going there to hang out. I will be doing the Rochester. So I live in upstate New York, Rochester. I did the Rochester Mini Maker Faire last fall, and it was awesome last November. This year, that's been upgraded to a full-on Maker Faire, a 2-day. So I will be doing a booth setup there again this year. Not sure if I'm going to do both days, but I might just do the 1 day and then walk around the next day. But it's New York Maker Faire is awesome.
Awesome. Oh, well, it's kind of at the other end of the spectrum from us. So. You know, 16 hours is about as far as I want to drive for any type of event.
Hey, I just drove 10 hours, which wasn't too bad, to North Carolina over the weekend and back. And 16 hours. I think the most I've done is 14, and that was with traffic to Tennessee from New York. So
yeah. No, I mean, when I was a little younger, we used to drive a lot. a lot. We drove from here to California and back. And
where are you, by the way?
Where am I?
Yeah,
I'm in North Florida.
Oh,
yeah, Tallahassee, Florida.
What's that? I said I should have known that.
How would you know? How would you know that?
I don't know.
Talking to me, man.
I don't know.
Most people think I'm from Mississippi or South Alabama or something like that.
That's what I was thinking. So I was thinking Alabama.
Georgia, North Florida, they're all the same. It's a bunch of rednecks down here.
Hey, I'm a redneck, man. I was born in Tennessee. So
let me tell you, Jesse. This you go by Jesse on YouTube. Your name's Clayton. I don't know what your friends call you, but you know,
everything in between. Boys. There we go.
You know, and we'll get to that in a minute too, because I want to figure out where that came from. But I was born and raised. I'm 7th generation Floridian. Okay?
Nice.
But we've talked about it on the Kuntry Klub numerous times. There are rednecks everywhere. It doesn't matter where you come from. You can be a redneck. You know, and that doesn't denote stupidity. That denotes state of mind of how you think about things. Or don't think about things. Just
exactly.
Here. Well, you know, it was fun to hang out at Earth with you guys.
It definitely was.
And meet some people that I'd never met. You know, I met Pooch and those guys. I didn't know those guys. I saw people that I had seen at Murph. Now, you weren't at Murph.
I've never been to Murph, but certainly made it to Earth. And I was so happy I did. Yeah, next year I definitely want to try and get to Murph, since I know that's even crazier than Earth, which I find hard to believe. Dude, but
it was elbow to elbow at Murph, dude. That was crazy. Now, all right, I went on through and like you got more and more into 3D printing. And more into making props, it looks like.
Yeah.
Even more so than your Pepakura stuff. I think this opened up new doors for you to be able to make things. Not only that, I think with the and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but with the coming along of like Thingiverse and My Mini Factory and
all over that.
Yeah.
All over that.
What did that as you've progressed? What have been the improvements that you've seen that have made it just more interesting for you as you go along?
Well, I would say, you know, on the jump from Pepakura to 3D printing and making props and sharing that, it's a natural evolution for me. I'm not going to waste my time using Pepakura to 3D print something, or not to Pepakura to make a prop when I can go and 3D print something.
Right.
In the cosplay community, there is a number of people, like I'll get comments on videos that I'm cheating by using a 3D printer to make something, to make a prop. And I get it, because I'm not making something by hand, but my argument is you'd still, unless you're making it absolutely from scratch, even something like Pepakura or using templates and making out of foam is still cheating. It's just I'm simplifying the process by using another tool to make the prop. If there's something that comes along that could potentially replace 3D printing, you'll damn well be sure that I will be on top of that, checking that out and using that as well.
I completely get it.
Yeah,
I have all respect for those guys that spend hundreds of hours cutting foam and painting foam and sewing, you know, outfits and doing all this stuff. I have nothing but respect for them, but that's their choice.
Exactly. And I've gotten asked a bunch of times, like, why don't I do foam videos like Bill Duran does on Punished Props? And one is, you know, there's other people out there already doing that, and they do that really well. Two, I just don't want to make stuff in foam. But people are saying, you know, well, I dress up in cosplay and I have to go to Comic-Cons or conventions, and I can't bring or wear certain 3D printed things or bring a 3D printed weapon. I have to make it in foam. Okay, that's your thing. I'm not going to cons every weekend. My primary objective is to make a prop so that I can put it on display somewhere in my man cave area for me to check out and play around with, or to hang out and play with my boys with. It's not to dress up and go to a con, which, I mean, in some cases it might be, but for the majority of the time, I'm making stuff just for me to put on display because I like whatever it is that I'm printing and making. Right. But it's certainly evolved. Like the technology's evolved. The printers have greatly evolved. Costs obviously have come way down from 3 years ago, and it seems like they're still dropping, and bed size is getting bigger. I'm so happy that Preston at Press Reset, I can remember going and visiting him in New York City. I was on a business trip, went to Brooklyn to visit him, and he was like, hey, check out this new printer that I'm using that has like this huge print bed, and it's under $500. And I was like, I need the information on what that printer is. And he was showing me some of the prints. So this was before he put out his first CR10 video. I was like, I got to get that. Like, I'm ordering this printer. And it sort of, from there, for me, it was like, man, this is blowing the doors wide open in terms of making printers affordable enough for anybody, especially anybody that wants to do what I'm doing on the cosplay scene, to make replica props. And you don't have to sink in $2,000 on a machine. And for this big print area, you can go in really cheap and get a really nice printer that's not going to take you a whole weekend to put together and get really nice results from it. It's amazing. It's amazing. No,
some of the kits that are coming out now, I mean, Chris Riley and I did an Ender 3, and it took us, took us an hour and a half or whatever to put it together because we were chatting,
talking,
and all that stuff. But we got it put together, and we hit go, and it just printed. I mean, it just freaking printed, and they print so nicely.
Awesome. That's what I keep hearing. I've got one that I need to put together.
Well, it depends on what day it was made, whether or not you'll like it or not. That's the problem.
I was a little late to the scene on the Ender 3 thing, so maybe I'm okay.
It's still depends on what day. I'm telling you, man. With James from Print and Play, he said, what will replace 3D printing? What is that? Sneaking onto Hollywood lots and stealing actual costumes?
I would hope so. I honestly think that it's not what's going to replace 3D printing, at least yet. I can't imagine this is going to disappear anytime soon. I really do think that in the next handful of years, the resin, SLA 3D printing is going to get bigger, better, and more affordable. I know Peopoly's working on a printer that similar to their Moy that prints at a bed size, I think similar to the CR10. And yeah, but can you imagine how much, like a bottle of resin from them is, I think, $85 on Matter Hackers. I'm pretty sure because I bought a lot of them. I can only imagine how much a whole helmet to print in resin today would cost. Right. A year from now, a year and a half to 2 years from now, maybe it's only $40 for maybe the cost of resin drops as they progress and make these more affordable and become more popular to print with and use. I honestly think that's where things, at least for me, I'm looking to head, because just the quality that I can get out of those machines is friggin' amazing. It is absolutely amazing.
But you have to admit now, from the time you started 3 years ago to today, the quality improvements have been immense.
It's been ridiculous. Do I not have that printer right here? I mean, my Maker, I usually have my MakerBot Mini sitting somewhere in here. Which, by the way, I think my MakerBot Mini, I know Pooch has one as well, by the way, and I think his still is up and running as well. I am half tempted to paint mine gold or bronze, and like I sometimes have it on display on my shelf just because I like having it up. I like bronze it. But I'm never going to get rid of that thing. But yeah, from that to today, it's changed. Like, it's just amazing how much more affordable it is to get PLA, how more easily it is to get PLA. or just, I should say, any print materials. There's so many people making making filament, and there's so many different filament options, and different things being mixed with filament, that it's just giving you so many different variations to experiment. It blows my mind how it's really changed from a handful of years ago to today.
Right. Well, okay. I'm going to ask one question, and I'm going to open it up to the chat here. We've got one question, but guys, if y'all want to ask questions, go ahead and start putting them in the chat. What would you, as a cosplayer, like to see what would you like to see come about in 3D printing? I know you said resin cheaper, but what would be the big thing for you to go, you know what, I have got to have that, because that would be crazy.
What still really ticks me off about what still isn't here that was there 3 years ago is when I was using my MakerBot. There's a few things that MakerBot got really well. One of those was having Wi-Fi capabilities on their printer and having a mobile app access. Right. Having notifications sent to my phone when a print was done was awesome. Or being able to, and I know people can do some of these things with Octoprint, but you know what? To me, that's a pain in the ass to go off and set up. It's like another set of things that I have to go off and program and set up. I want it baked into the printers and be able to access these things more easily. That's one thing I think MakerBot did so well. I don't care about directly printing from my phone, like sending a file, downloading a file, and printing from it. I'll never do that. But having the ability to monitor from there, to be able to get notifications from there, like I said, monitoring with having an onboard camera directly on the printer. Maybe it does time lapses. That would be freaking awesome, since I know so many of us do time lapses for videos and whatnot. I mean, to me, it's that technology aspect that still seems to be missing from a lot of the printers. And it would just be great if there was a little dongle that I could just plug in, and now my printer has Wi-Fi, and I have a mobile app that I can monitor my print and maybe home the printer and do some other basic features directly from that while I'm in the other room.
One problem you run into that, and I write software, so there would have to be a middle site for that,
Oh,
so,
I'm sure.
I mean that
I know it's going to.
No, yeah. I get it, but that would be a cost for a company, that makes a little dongle. Would you pay $5 a month for that? Because if so, I'm building a dongle.
If I could connect all my printers to, like, if I could buy, I don't know, 15 to a lot of dongles, I would gladly be paying for some services that would allow me to do some of those things, to make it more easily able to monitor some of these things. I'm a lazy guy. Right. I literally work from the other room that we're talking in right now, and I have printers here and I have printers in another room. I don't want to get up to walk over to see what's going on with them. Did it finish? Or maybe I'm upstairs watching TV. Do I need to change the filament? I don't know. It's been sitting here beeping at me for the last 2 hours, but I'm not in the room.
You heard him. So somebody designed the hardware. I've got the middleware for the software website, and we're good to go.
I will tell you right now. One thing I don't do, and I'll tell you guys right now on this. I don't typically put out negative videos, and I can't believe I'm talking about this right now, but I don't do negative videos. Like, I don't like bashing anyone. That's not my style. That's not my personality. That's not what I want to do. G-Tech made these little Wi-Fi like, this was the mecca of, oh my God, this is perfect. These things suck so much.
Chris probably said, if you look at the last chat, G-Tech Wi-Fi, Jesse, so sad. And he said that as you got up to get it, before you even had it in your
these things suck so bad. The app, like just doesn't work. It was made by someone that doesn't know how to make mobile apps, I think. I don't know. It just doesn't work. It was a pain to get connected to my printer, and then just actually getting it to work just doesn't seem to work. It's such an awesome concept, and it's cheap. It's like, I think $25 or less for this little dongle, and you power it with a USB, and it should magically work, but it doesn't, unfortunately.
Well, maybe I could buy a bunch of those cheap since they don't work, and we could rewrite the firmware to make them work.
I could. There you go. I'll send you all of the ones that I have. Not saying that I have a bunch, but when
I get them and I get them working, I will send them back and say, "Here you go." Then we can market it, and we can say, "Look, we can actually fix this."
But there you go. There you go. You can post that as my one and only overly negative review of something. By the way, if I get something that I don't like if someone's like, they sent me a few of these, and then I had ordered some. But if I get sent something and I don't like it, I don't put out a video on it. That's just that's my stance on how I do things on my channel. I know people do their things on their channels. But if you're wondering why, hey, Uncle Jessy hasn't done a video on X, Y, and Z product, I'm pretty sure he got sent one. It's because I probably didn't like it.
All right. So Robbie Mac from Indiana said, what kind of paint primer do you prefer? Acrylic, enamel, airbrush, hand brush, rattle can? What's your preference?
Oh yeah. That's a great question. For primer, it sort of all depends on the prop. I'm pretty cheap. I'm really cheap. I'm not, when I say pretty cheap, I'm like super cheap when it comes to things. I'm always hunting for a good deal. I pretty much buy most of my stuff at Walmart just because it's dirt cheap compared to going to Home Depot or Lowe's or any of those other big stores. But I typically buy Rust-Oleum. It's I really like Rust-Oleum products. I have not a really big fan of Krylon. I use it from time to time. I'm talking about spray paints, by the way. And their primer filler I use, or primer or automotive primer I will use. I just have been getting recently into airbrushing, which I still need to not perfect, but get better at. That right there, that is something that I'm super like, I would love to learn more of, but it's one, again, it's an intimidation factor of, holy cow, this seems like it's something crazy I've got to learn and get my hands around before I go off and crazy, like really screw it up. But in terms of acrylic paints, I love acrylic paints, and not just any acrylic paints, the cheapest of the cheap acrylic paints.
So Walmart acrylic paints, they're like 50 cents a bottle.
You got it. That's it right there. That's it. Every once in a while, I splurge and get like $1.50 $1.50 Martha Stewart, like crazy sparkly metallic.
Yeah, you can't see them up there, but I printed one of those trays off of Thingiverse that holds like 25 of them.
Shut up.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, let me show you this tray, dude.
Oh my God, that's an awesome idea. I have mine sitting in like a wire rack on my workbench. That's such a great idea. Oh my God, how have I not thought about printing one of those?
Look at this.
Oh, dude, and that's on Thingiverse. I am printing that. Like that is. I'm immediately starting that tonight.
let me show everybody else in case they haven't found it.
Oh my God, that is awesome.
And it just keeps them so organized, so easy.
Oh my gosh. I need like 3 of those.
It's a pain to print because it takes a while.
Yeah, but that's fine. I'm all right with that.
All right, so we got another question up here. Carl from Knack 3D Designs, even though it should be naked like it looks like. But the Captain America shield behind you.
Oh, yes.
Is that 3D printed?
That is not. That's one that I've purchased in the other room. If you watch some of my other videos where I'm recording, not in this space, but behind my other older bookshelves, I think it was, there's a metal Captain America shield that I made by hand out of an aluminum sled, like one of those saucer sleds. And I had actually recorded all of the footage of me making that, and I never got around to editing it. By the way, I probably have like another 100 videos that I could have put out if I just actually had the time to sit down and edit all of the videos that I make, or like all of the footage that I've recorded. It's somewhere in a hard drive somewhere, is all that footage from a few years back.
And this question probably comes a month or so too late, but Matt from How I Do It said, did you ship your F3D PCH part yet?
Tomorrow, dude. Tomorrow.
And I think Garth Brooks said it best: if tomorrow never comes, right?
Oh my God, dude, I'm so sorry. I was supposed to bring that to Earth and ran out the door and completely left it on my desk. And then you like messaged me and I was like, oh yeah, I'll get it out. And then like today it's now, and it's been how many months now? Since 2 months.
I hope everybody got to see that. I think they did. Everybody popped in. Hey, can we see it? Can we see it on the tray thing? And then Robbie Mac's like, Apple paint, booyah. Because, you know, that's that cheap 50-cent Walmart paint.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah. I was like, wait, what?
So, all right. So how, and you know, I've never seen your wife or anything like that, but how supportive. Oh, and look, the broken nerd actually showed up. I put the tweet and said Uncle Jesse's on.
What's going on, dude?
He was so hoping you'd drop in when I did his interview.
I wish I could have made it on that one. I'm so sorry. That dude is like so friggin' cool.
we're actually going to touch on that in just a minute, but
cool.
Your wife, how supportive is she of your 3D printing and YouTubing and that type of stuff? I mean, you know, because it takes a lot of time.
Very, very supportive. Right,
Come
honey?
on, man.
No, she gets it. She gets it. She doesn't watch. I don't think she's ever watched any one of my videos from start to finish. She's probably only seen a handful of clips from videos. It probably wasn't until not too long ago that she was really sort of behind the idea of, why are you spending so much time like working on these projects and making stuff and doing the video editing and doing this, that, and like we'll be laying in bed hanging out, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to edit a video, put my headphones in, don't mind me. Right. And then she'll peek over and like, what are you doing?
Now, I have to say that my wife takes her phone in the bed and she'll play a game or whatever. I take no electronics to my bedroom when I go in my bedroom. I have a TV, but I do not take my cell phone nor my laptop. None of them make it into the bedroom ever.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a really good way to do things, by the way.
So, all right. So the Broken Nerd is here, and I was going to ask you this before we start, you know, wrapping this up and making sure nobody else having any other stuff. But do you even dabble in the do you even dabble in the 3D design realm, or is it, you know, you purchase models and you get models? Oh, there went an earbud. One's on the floor.
That's my man. That hurt getting that off.
but
that was his helmet, by the way.
But how much do you do any design whatsoever of
I do like the most basic of basic designs. Let me keep talking so you guys can hear me. Like the most basic of basic designs, and not very often. So here's my Nelson Murdoch sign, attorney at law from the Daredevil TV show. I designed this. Actually, crazy is I designed this. The first season of Daredevil came out. It must have been 3 years ago. Yeah, no, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more than that. Because I printed, this is all one print. But I originally designed this and cut it up into a whole bunch of pieces and printed it on my MakerBot Mini. Then I ended up getting the BQ Wit box, and I was like, oh my God, the primary, one of the main reasons why I was like, oh, I can print a helmet, like half of a helmet on that printer, which would be awesome. But the other thing is I could print this on the bed. The print bed was large enough that I could print this sign on it in one piece, which was a huge pain in the rear end to get off of the glass bed. But anyways, no, I don't design. I would love to. I'm a little impatient when it comes to learning new things. I keep saying I'm going to pick up I can't remember what the software, not Blender. No, not Fusion. I had Fusion. I was looking for something, ZBrush. That's what it was.
Okay.
So I think I keep saying I'm going to set aside some money and start to pick up ZBrush and start learning how to design with that. I know Carmelo uses ZBrush. I've talked with him a number of times about that. I know Daryl, Broken Nerd, uses, I think it's 3D Max. He can probably comment in the comments.
It's something outside of that realm. That's pretty expensive. That's all.
It was because I remember I was like, "What are you using?" And he looked at it, was like, "Holy crap, that is expensive."
I think like the base model is like $3,500 or something. Yeah. Cinema 4D. That's it.
Cinema 4D. Yeah. I was like, that is like the professional of the professional grade.
Well, have you seen the stuff he produces, man?
I know, it's ridiculous. Not only that, but it's like we comment back and forth a good bit, and it's like, hey, what do you think about like this? And then it's like, I don't know, a half a day later, the next morning, a message back, screenshots. I was like, oh my God, how did you do that so fast? That would have taken me like a month and a half just to the dude is crazy talented, talented.
I watched some of the stuff, and I've watched his modeling stuff, where he tries to teach stuff, but I'm like one of those, okay, you click here to turn the program on, and then you click here to do this, and you click the instructions I need,
But I mean, it's something that I definitely want to learn. The idea of ZBrush that's interesting to me is I do have a bit of an art background. It's very rusty. But I was really big into sculpting and using clay. And by the way, that's actually something that I really want to get into, is using like having a mold made of my head, maybe 3D scanning and 3D printing my head, and then actually using clay to sculpt something, then actually cast it and make a prop that way. That's something that I'm super interested in trying.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome.
But Blender, not Blender, God, man, ZBrush, it is really sort of like sculpting and less of a technical drawing. Fusion 360, I mean, it has so many options, but it just, when I was using it and doing some tutorials, like, man, this feels really technical, and I don't want technical. I want to be able to use a stylus and draw and sculpt more or less. Will that be able to do everything that I want to do? Probably not. But
well, have you ever heard of Sculptress?
It sounds familiar. I don't know.
Basically, you start with a ball of clay, and then you use your mouse to push and pull and sculpt with.
Yeah.
One of my guys, while I was live streaming, he did this.
Whoa. While you were live streaming, he did that?
While I was live streaming.
That's awesome.
Well, and then they took and ran with it, and now I have a cup, with my face on it.
Dude.
I have wine glasses and all this stuff, but
that's crazy cool.
Sculptress is what he used.
I'll have to look at that.
And it's free, so that's
the perfect price point for me.
There you go. We've got a couple questions here before they get off the screen. I had a live stream last night, and I was talking about collaboration between YouTubers and 3D printing people and this type of stuff. And Robbie Mack says, you know, I've been discussing collaboration. Do you have any collaboration ideas in your head that you'd be, you know, want to, you know, to work on with somebody or something?
I'm always, I wanted to say wheeling and dealing. That's not right at all. I'm always, always wheeling and dealing. How much you want for that car? No, I'm always, that's something that's always on my mind. That's actually one of the community aspect of this, the community aspect of 3D printing is awesome. And one of the big things I love specifically about the Facebook groups, I'm part of like, I don't know, 40 different Facebook 3D printing groups, is seeing what people are making and learning about new designers and up and coming people that are just getting started with designing and talking with them about working on a project or having them make something or giving them feedback on a prop that they're designing and wanting to know what I think about it and how maybe they're familiar with model making, but not necessarily 3D printing. And I've gotten asked before, you know, how should I look at cutting this for printing purposes? And I've given feedback on that. For me, I'm like pretty wide open when it comes to collaboration and access. I try to make myself as widely available as possible. I try to answer as many messages as I absolutely can. If people DM me on Twitter, like Twitter is my primary social media of choice. If you DM me on Twitter, you might have to like re-DM me 3 times because I will get buried. I have a lot of conversations going on there, but it's anything in particular right now that I'm interested in. No, but I'm always open for discussion. And I actually was brainstorming with Daryl just the other week on another project. So there's always things that come up and that I'm interested in or that other people are interested in that piques my interest. So yeah, it's always there.
Uncle Ron said, thanks for loaning him an extension cord at Earth. It came in handy last weekend.
Damn it. There's where my extension cord is.
Yeah.
I'll get that back at some point, I think.
You mentioned Milo just a minute ago, and sure enough, he shows up. Woohoo!
Hey, but by the way, I've got a correction for you from your last stream with the Broken Nerd. He had talked about how we actually met or how we got in contact with each other through the RPF. It's actually a lie. I stalked that dude for like 2 months straight. And was like, I got to get in hold of this dude. I got to work with this guy. I got to... He was designing some stupidly amazing things. And I was like, I can't do that, but you can. Can I borrow one of those designs to print?
It's funny because, you know, he touts you as, you know, being an inspiration for him getting into the 3D printing stuff.
It's the other way around. It's completely the other way around. Like,
no, you know, that's the cool thing though, Jesse. I mean, we can feed off of each other in this community, which is crazy. You know? That's
100% true.
Robbie Mack has another question. What costumes do you make for Halloween for your son?
Oh man. Whatever they want is what I try to do. Last year, we ended up my son wanted to go as Sonic the Hedgehog. He's now 7 and a almost 3-year-old. They're obsessed with retro games and characters. My oldest is obsessed with Sonic the Hedgehog. So last year he wanted to be Sonic, and so we ended up finding a costume for the most part. And then I made him speed shoes, which was my horrible attempt at sewing over some like a slip-on type thing for his shoes. But basically anything that they want, I will gladly jump in. This year, actually, we bought our Halloween costumes at the end of Halloween last year, or right after Halloween. We're going to do all Star Wars related stuff this year. Again, all about the deal and deal hunting. I was like, man, this stuff's like 80% off.
My wife is really into Halloween. So, I mean, she dresses up every year, you know, with the kids. And now that the kids are grown, she's like, do we have to stop dressing up?
No. I one of these years, I've got the perfect garage for a haunted garage, a walkthrough. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those that people have done. I keep saying I want to do one of those and put that together. But then my fear is once I do it 1 year, I have to continually do it every year after.
That's the thing. I have a friend that did that, and he's like, man, I have these great ideas. So he did it, and now it's blown into this thing where, you know, he charges like $10 for you to go through this thing, and it takes like 50 of his friends and
to put together, and then they're probably working there scaring people and everything, and
but it's they work there to scare folks, but it's year round. They work on this thing year round to make it different every Halloween, and
I'm sure it's a lot of work.
Way out of proportion now. All right, Inside the Mind of Matt has a question. Now we're gonna cut this off here in about 8-9 minutes, but he's got one question here. It says, "Is there a YouTube channel that you watch religiously? That is just." I gotta see everything they put out.
There is. I actually watch. Country
Time. You watch?
Yeah. I do most of my YouTube watching either super late at night. I tend to stay up way too late. Super late at night. I will watch a few videos. But for the most part, I watch things when I'm working out on an elliptical. I still to this day watch a ton of Preston's videos, Press Reset, anytime he's posting stuff. I know he's doing like a lot of skateboard related boost board stuff, but again, I like watching certain creators, and I don't necessarily watch for the content. That might sound rude, but I love watching people to see how they're editing their video and how they're cutting things together to make it interesting. Or again, that's just a really cool aspect of things. Obviously, anything from the Broken Nerd, 3D printed props. Kevin, love that dude as well. Watch pretty much anything that he's posting. I'm trying to think. There's actually another guy here in Rochester that I watch quite a bit that is really just sort of getting up and going with his YouTube channel. It's not necessarily 3D printing related. I'm just running back through. Sorry, I had to like log on to my stuff. Actually, I do watch a lot of. There's a guy Chugda, I think is his YouTube name. His videos are all about like video editing. So I'm always trying to look at how can I improve my game or learn something new when it comes to editing video or lighting video, or now into things like color grading, which I've spend way too much time obsessing over and having things making sure they're properly well lit. This is the type of thing that once you get way down the rabbit hole of things, you get sucked into. I do watch a lot of. Oh, what's that?
Use for video editing?
Adobe Premiere.
You do?
Yeah. And I've not tried out Vegas, Sony Vegas. I know a lot of people like that as well, but Adobe Premiere. And by the way, again, going back to what I had said originally about keeping things like to what you have and keeping it as cheap as possible for you when you're starting out on YouTube. I think it was probably like when I started taking YouTube really seriously, maybe with this channel. Let's start with this channel. I was just using iMovie or iMovie on my iPad because I recorded videos on my iPad and then would edit them on the iPad. But it was typically like whatever the free software is what I was using. I didn't have any special microphones or anything like that or any special lighting. Yeah, man, I'm just running through this. I have a ton. I think I have like 400 channels. Is that right? No, that can't be right. Yeah, I think I've got a ton of channels that I'm subscribed to.
Yes, that can be right. Believe me, that can be right.
But yeah, I do watch a lot of gaming stuff. I'm like, I'm really big into Xbox stuff still. Even though I don't do a ton of Xbox videos, I'm still pretty actively involved with Xbox. And I do a podcast, by the way, the Party Chat podcast. We have a new episode coming out tomorrow for our podcasts. It's for the Xbox One subreddit. I used to also do videos every Monday for the Xbox One subreddit, which I, to this day, wish I never gave up on, even though they only got like 300 views, which I'd spend so much time editing these videos. I record them on a Saturday night, spend almost all day editing the videos to put them out on Monday morning. For I think 78 weeks I did that, because I did 78 episodes. And I wish I kept up with it. I really wish I kept up with it, because not because of the content, but maybe a little bit, but because I learned so much from doing those videos in such a short amount of time. And it made me get better at editing the videos. It made me get better at recording the videos. Having that constant, you know, you've got to record, you've got to put something out. It really drilled that into me to try and improve my videos. And what I was putting out. So that's me off on a tangent there for you guys.
All right.
By the way, I'm all over the place for you guys.
We got 3 more things right here.
Cool.
First things, Inside the Mind of Matt says you're close enough to do a collab. He's going to drop you a line.
Do it, dude. I think he's in New York as well. So other side of New York, but I believe.
Yeah. Robbie Mack says, any way to get you to send me Weber's mustard or Saleen's dogs or possibly a roast beef on a weck?
I have no idea what that is, any of those. Yeah. I have Wegmans up by me, which has a lot of awesome stuff. I've got Zweigel's hot dogs that I could send you. Those are pretty awesome dogs. Send you a garbage plate, maybe freeze it and send it over to you.
And David Olson from San Diego, California, he asks, what do you use for a camera and a mic now? What
I use for a camera and a mic now. Funny enough, I have it sitting right in front of me. I just literally just used for the first time the other day this dead cat thing. I had a Best Buy coupon for $10 off or something like that I earned through buying a bunch of random stuff. Again, super cheap on things. So bought this dead cat thing. But yeah, I use a Rode mic for the most part. I did have a lav mic. And I went on a business trip, and I think I left it on an airplane by accident. I think I was recording on the plane and left it on the seat or something like that. But yeah, I've got to order another one of those. But yeah, I use a Rode mic, and I use a Canon T6i. And for the longest time after I got this DSLR, I used the stock lens that came with this, and then recently picked up a much more expensive lens that I can't remember the name of at this. It's sort of like the YouTuber lens. I can't remember what the name of it's called. It was more expensive than I care to admit, but yeah, that's what I use these days. But for me, it's less about like if I were to invest money on YouTube and my equipment, lighting, I still use these super cheap lights from Luma Studio or something like that off of Amazon that I think I paid $60 for a set of 3. I still use those in every single video. They're absolutely awesome. And then audio. So a lav mic, and by the way, the lav mic I used to use was $20, and I think I recorded it off my phone, connected to my phone, recorded it into that, and I synced up the audio afterwards. But I mean, those are my 2 big things. I'm less on expensive equipment like a DSLR, but focus on lighting and audio. It goes a long way.
All right. Well, we've reached our max of 1 hour and 15 minutes. So what I want you to do is say, you know, where they can meet you or find you and all that stuff. And,
yeah. Stuff. Well, hopefully you guys have hung in there and watched and enjoyed, but I'm Uncle Jessy. You can find me over on youtube.com/Uncle Jessy with a Y, not an E at the end, which confuses everybody, including myself. Why I did that, I don't recall. I'm also over on the Twitters and very typically active over on the Twitters at twitter.com/Uncle Jessy for real, because some other guy is sitting on Uncle Jessy for the last, I don't know how many years, and not using that account anymore since 2013. And the same thing, Uncle Jessy for real over on Instagram and the Facebooks, but I'm not really active on Facebook. I'm more in the Facebook groups. But yeah, that's about it.
All right, Jesse, I'm gonna click over here to me and tell them bye, and I'll be right back, buddy.
Perfect, brother.
All right, guys, that has been Uncle Jessy here on the Kuntry Klub, Kuntry Klub Live. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something about Clayton Parker that you didn't know before. And I'm going to give this shout out because Pooch, my man Pooch, asked me to. When you leave here, look up Community Catch Up. I don't have the link right now. If any of my mods have it, please paste it in here before you leave. Go to the Community Catch Up. They're live right now on YouTube. And check it out. Chris Riley, you're not on Twitter. We get that, man. We get it. But, all right. So, thank you, Uncle Jessy, for being here. And, guys, we will see you tomorrow night on Country Time. Later, guys.